Welcome to the Property Bible. This show was created for current property owners, people looking to purchase property, and for professionals in the industry. Hope you enjoy. Welcome back to the Property Bible. My name is Kim Ackerman. I'm a senior buyer's agent at Trelease Associates here in Sydney. Today we're going to be talking about the benefits of a financial planner or advisor in some states. I think this is a great topic. I have a lot of buyers that I speak to who are really unaware of how financial planners or advisors help people at the moment. And so I really want to educate people on the ways in which they can help you, the different areas in which they can go through, and the benefits overall that they can create for people when they're building their wealth. So I'm lucky enough to have with me here today Mr. Phillip Richards. Welcome, Phil.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Now, you are a financial advisor. You are the founder and managing director of Endorphin Wealth in Sydney and Melbourne.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
You've been in this space for, 14 plus years now.
That's right.
So,
yeah, exactly. Sounds like a small jail term.
Yeah, no. You know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I love that you're here because you're very pro-property as well. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
You've been investing yourself since you were very young.
Yeah, since I was like 21, I think I bought my first property. So,
okay.
I've always loved property. So, and I guess the share market as well. But yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, look, I always say that in order to build your wealth and be successful, you have to have a good team behind you. And that team should be made up of a accountant, a lawyer, a buyer's agent if you can, and definitely a financial planner or advisor in this case.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. I think, having those great people around you, it's like super important so that you can actually get to where you want to go. I think with a financial advisor, they can really help you to figure out your goals, what's really important to you and where you're heading.
Yeah.
And then sort of come up with a really great plan and give you clarity about where you want to go.
For sure. And I think that there's a lot of misconceptions that only the wealthy have financial advisors or financial planners, which is just not true at all.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's right. I think previously it was something that a lot of really wealthy people had. Obviously, wealthy people do engage investment experts and financial advisors. But we're actually seeing a huge amount of demand from people who are just really looking to get ahead and really make the most of their money that they're working so hard to earn.
Yeah. You help people get wealthy.
That's right.
So it's good to start with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's where we can kind of use our skills and expertise to help people get ahead and figure out, well, what is actually really important. And then, using property or the share market or whatever kind of works best and help people kind of, I guess, almost hack their way to becoming wealthy.
Okay, fantastic. And just before we start, I think I should preface the fact that in New South Wales, a lot of people call your role a financial planner, whereas in Melbourne, where you're from, it's more so a financial advisor.
That's right.
So it's the same thing, people that are listening. It's just, different words. So we'll be talking about both of those titles throughout, but we're talking about the same person in this case.
Yeah.
But I guess, Phil, just to kick this off, can you give us a bit of an overview of generally what does a financial advisor or financial planner do for people?
Okay, so
that's a very loaded question.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So financial advisors or financial planners will sit down, with their client and find out, like I've mentioned previously, but really kind of about their situation, of course, like what do they have, what's their income, like all the nuts and bolts of that. But more importantly, what are their goals? So there's so many different goals that a client might have. And one thing that I've known in the time that I've been advising is that every single client is different. So there could be a client that wants to retire early, one that wants a sabbatical year, another one that wants Mondays off, like to go to part-time work and take every Monday off or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's really just sort of figuring out, the first part is really drawing out of the client what is their goals and what's really important to them.
And then planning against that.
Yeah, exactly. So then sitting down and sort of actually mapping out, well, what particular strategies can we employ around sort of, could even be tax positioning, could be different investment solutions that we might come up with, could be an investment property, could be a portfolio of shares, and all of those different, I guess, like approaches to getting there. There's definitely more than one way. But what I suppose we like to bring sort of at our firm Endorphin is basically sitting down and thinking about, well, what are all the ways that we could do this, and then finding the best one. So that's kind of how it works.
And that's the best part about this. You guys don't just help people plan or put plans in place. You actually help them execute those plans. So
definitely.
You guys are my financial planners, and yourself and Ray have helped me over the years to get to where I am at the moment. But looking at the plan and then going through and executing those things, what are some of the categories that you would help people explore? From the bottom up.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks, Kim.
That's all right.
It's been great working with you.
No, of course.
So easy, it's really just around some key areas. One of the things is really important, sounds super boring, but budgeting is something that a lot of people
very important.
Are thinking that's super
one of
boring.
the most important, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And for us, it's a lot about what you do with the surplus. So if there is a surplus, someone's earning good income, it's like, what do we do with that surplus? Let's find out if we can maximize or end up with more surplus through a budget. I've seen plenty of budgets, and now I can sort of start to, over the years, like identify problem areas potentially where a client might want to sort of draw their attention to. So that's around budgeting. And then of course it's around investment, superannuation, tax positioning. Even
insurances.
Yeah, insurances like personal insurances, so your income protection, life insurance, things like that. So obviously we hope that, obviously someone's health and well-being is maintained their whole life, but the reality is life can happen. So that's where I guess insurances come into place, where we can sort of, with a plan, we can sort of shore up that side of things from a personal protection point of view.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what a lot of people don't know is, especially from a super perspective and from an insurance perspective, you guys are a bit like brokers in a way.
Yeah.
So one of the things that was really beneficial for me to understand when I started this process a couple of years ago is when you guys are looking at like assessing someone's super, you looked at my super and looked at what it was doing, gave me alternatives as to where I could place my money, for example, also assessed my risk profile. And I have a very high risk profile, so I was willing to do some crazy shit with my super. And that's paid off for me, thankfully. But the best part about that was that your fees actually came out of my super.
That's right. Yeah, we can definitely do that. And, and depending, provided the advice is specific to super,
of course,
that's absolutely a possibility, and really just sort of getting around a little bit like you're talking about there with super, because you're younger. Sometimes taking additional risks, like you're talking about, can be the right thing to do. Definitely something to get advice on to get the right sorts of high risk investments.
Of course. Yes, this is not advice for people to get high risk investments at all.
Yeah,
that was just for me.
No,
that suited me. Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
And so that's, I guess, again, so when you talk about being a broker, so our firm's, privately owned. So what we're really looking for is like different products and different sort of superannuation funds or investment solutions that are going to be best for the client. So we don't have any other...
There's no conflict.
Yeah, no conflict and no other reason to do anything apart from helping our clients get to where they want to go.
And it's just like the buyer's agent service. We're not shopping at one real estate agency when we're looking for property. We're looking at what's best for the client.
Of course.
That we're working with.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize, I think most people that I do speak to that don't know a lot about this space think, I can't really afford to pay a financial advisor, but it is quite an inexpensive cost. You're talking maybe a couple of $1,000s up front to put a plan in place for yourself, and then some possible ongoing costs depending on what kind of investing you do or how your super's working and things like that.
Yeah, it can be. It's definitely, I'd see it as an investment.
Very much so.
In a similar way that you'd pay your accountant for good tax advice, or your buyer's advocate for great advice around which property to buy. It's similar to that. And of course, setting up the right plan, getting it on the right track is super important.
Yeah.
So I'd see it as an investment in terms of the cost of getting a financial advisor.
I know that my investment that I've put into you guys has more than absorbed itself throughout this,
Definitely.
tenfold. So, it's been a really good decision for me to do so. And I do want to encourage more people to just reach out to a few financial advisors or planners and explore that area. I feel as though, similar to the buyer's advocate or the buyer's agent space, it's not as tapped in as it should be. Everyone's got an accountant, I feel like, and everyone's, got access to a lawyer, but not everybody has got access or is speaking to a financial advisor or a buyer's agent.
Definitely.
And they should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion. They definitely should be.
Absolutely. Well, there's so much, I guess, in terms of financial advisors, and the good ones have done a lot of the stuff themselves personally, but they've also been working, like for myself, been working for 14 years with clients literally every single day, working on how can we help our clients get better results or get to where they want to go faster.
Yeah.
So I guess you can kind of use that skills and expertise to actually help more people to get to where they want to go.
Very much so. I always say, and I've said it in other episodes as well, each of the dollars that you have, whether it's surplus dollars left over after a pay or whether it's savings that you have, they're like little soldiers, and it's important that you put them to work in the most efficient way possible so that, in 5-10 years time, you have more money than what you would have had if you didn't plan ahead.
Totally. Yeah. No, that's a really good analogy. I often use one that I've been sort of talking to clients about is sort of getting your money working as hard as you do. So if you think about how hard you work in whatever job or career you're doing, it's really important that you get the money that you're earning working for you. Yeah. Because if it's not, then you're going to be working really, really hard for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With not much to show for it at the end.
That's exactly right.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we should get into some tips for people before we go today about what they can do in this space and things to look out for as well. I think that one of the big ones is when they do engage with someone like yourself or they are going down that road, to make sure that there's no conflict of interest with the choices.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit of the financial advice market. It's mostly around the licensing of the different financial advisory firms. So our firm is licensed by a private licensee. So it basically means the licensee is privately owned rather than being, say, AMP or IOOF or something like that. What you'll often find is sometimes there can be a conflict in those firms where the advisor may offer up a product from that licensee.
Gotcha.
So whereas for us, we're sort of focused very heavily on, as I mentioned before, like really just what's best. It doesn't really, the client's obviously paying us a fee for good advice, and then we'll then be looking for the best solutions for them without any sort of other conflict.
So you're not choosing products based on the fact that you're getting a larger commission, for example,
because
you've got partnerships with these people. You're choosing products blanketly because they're the best thing for the clients.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when people are exploring this area, companies aren't necessarily going to come out and say that to you.
Yeah.
It's just about digging a bit deeper, asking the right questions, and making sure how that person gives advice throughout this process. But I think to follow on from that, it's really important that people understand the choices that they're making through this process. And anybody else watching, we can't be financial planners or advisors. That's your job. That's you guys to be the experts in that. But what we can do is learn about the area and have someone like yourself. Like I know when I speak to Ray, who's looking after all of my stuff, he's teaching me as I'm making decisions so that we're making informed decisions along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a great partnership around that kind of helping you to understand better about the decisions you're making and how they work.
Yes.
But also allowing you to have the confidence that we've sort of done, or hopefully done the work, or the advisor has done the work to find the best solution for you.
Yeah. I think another one is, the goals that you do put in place for people, or that planning that you do put in place. It's up to us as the client or the consumer or whatever name you want to give us, to be disciplined with those goals.
Exactly.
I'm sure that's a frustration on your end.
It can be, Kim.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's kind of like any sort of situation. Let's say your PT gives you a training plan.
Perfect example.
I mean, if you don't stick to the training plan, you're not going to be turning up to the beach in summer looking fab, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So similar thing with sticking to a budget, sticking to your financial plan. It's actually, it should be a collaborative process. So actually encourage people to, over time, even updating their budget, as things change, they can actually update it and send a copy to us and we can kind of look over it. So I think that it's got to be realistic and
realistic. That is the biggest key.
Massive.
If it's too tight, if it's too stringent, it's just not going to suit. They're not going to stick to it and things will fall over.
Totally. Once again, diet's a similar thing. If you make a really unrealistic diet plan, there's no way of sticking to it, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So we kind of work on that sort of stuff and then just following through. And one of the great things that, that a good advisor will do is be following you up and saying, hey,
how's that
Kim,
going?
How's that going? Are we sort of on track? And not to be someone who's saying, oh, you've done a bad job or like chasing you up. It's more actually on your side. I mean, that's the idea, right? Let me help you get there.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing around that I find really useful is just reminding the client of their original goals. So sort of saying, okay, well, when I first met you, you kind of told me these things that you want to get towards. Are they still important to you? And let's start making, okay, well then when we make that decision about buying a new car might be one that comes up.
Because things can change.
Yeah, of course. That might actually be more important.
Yes.
But we can actually help to make a good decision around that. So kind of go, okay, if we do buy the BMW, that's going to cost X and how does that impact things rather than sort of saying, okay, maybe we could find something slightly different or whatever that still suits the need, but still gets us to the goal at the end or, those sort of things.
Because I guess to be like really open about this, life's not always about like planning perfectly and making sure you don't spend those dollars on something that's not an investment. It's a liability. You buy a car instead of a house or whatever. Like we want to enjoy ourselves too and enjoy our money. So having a good plan will really mesh both of those things together, the enjoyment with the responsible nature of your decisions as well.
Totally. It's all about balance.
It is. It's about balance, but it's also about, a good financial planner will diversify all your investments and diversify where you're putting your money. They're not going to put it into one place or one property necessarily. They're going to really spread that risk out over various areas.
Yeah, totally. That's right. And I think it's that sort of stuff is really good to make sure that we've got lots of different sorts of sort of investments, like your property investments and your share investments. It might be that someone gets down the track and goes, you know what, I actually really want to do 6 months in Europe, say, when we can travel again. And we can actually just grab that from a share portfolio or something like that to fund 6 months in Europe.
So easy.
Yeah, provided we kind of stick and work it through. Yeah, that's the sort of stuff that we can kind of make possible, I guess.
Look, I know too many people living paycheck to paycheck, and I think the only thing that provides is stress.
Yeah.
And there are ways that you can still live a very good lifestyle but have a buffer of money put aside or know that your money that you do have put away is doing something for the long term as well. So I think that the last tip that we should probably leave people with is just don't be afraid to spend money on good advice throughout this process.
Definitely.
It's like buying a crappy car or a good car, like long term, you're going to reap the benefits and you're going to be able to feel those benefits because you've put those responsible choices in place years ago.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Talk to a financial advisor, planner, work it out, see if it's for you, see if it's the right time to jump into something like that as well.
Definitely. And most advisors will offer an obligation-free first appointment to sort of sit down and have a chat, see if there's a good fit for you and them, you know, in terms of working together.
Because it is very close.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a very high trust sort of
massively
massive high trust industry. And I find the best relationships are the ones where the client and the advisor are really, you know, enjoying the partnership, if you like.
Very much.
And then that can help get even better outcomes, especially once they get to know each other over time. They sort of can almost read where they're heading, you know, and sort of, I had a meeting with a client yesterday, and because I've worked with her for quite a bit of time now, I can kind of almost preempt, you know, how she's going to feel about things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was really, really great to see, you know, over time, maybe a couple of years that I've been working with her. It's now like, you know, we're talking things through going, oh yeah, we're on the same page, or I kind of thought that was going to happen, or this kind of makes sense. Yeah. And then we can sort of I can sort of help guide her towards, you know, where we're going, I guess, what works for her.
And that's the thing, using your knowledge and your years of experience, but adapting her method of thinking or the way that she views things.
Totally. Yeah.
And that is the best kind of service that anyone could provide, to be able to mix those two things together. So make sure when you choose a financial planner or advisor, choose someone that you know, mesh with well, that you vibe with well, and that's going to, you know, make you feel comfortable about the decisions you're making throughout this process.
Totally. Absolutely.
So, Phil, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks,
You've
Kim.
come all the way from Melbourne. I know you have other things going on today, not just for this, but I really love that you're here.
I love Sydney. It's always great being here, enjoying the sun as always. But it's an absolute pleasure. It's been great to be on the show. Thank you. Amazing.
So that's it on the Property Buyble today. Hopefully everyone's taken something from that about exploring the financial planner advisor world a little bit further. But join us soon for the next episode on the Property Buyble.